Last season, Valhalla Sim Sport pitted the Jetta against iRacing's plethora of rallycross tracks. While that was a hoot, it was certainly obvious who was getting a handle on things by the end. So, to keep things fresh, this season the series now pits our competitors against all types of racetracks. That's right, from dirt to paved, road to oval, they'll have to do it all. Let's see who is the true master as we get ready to watch round one of the Jetta Master Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Jack Werrell. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bathurst is quite a track to start the season on. Long and unforgiving, it will quickly expose the weaknesses in any driver's road racing chops. Let's head to our track guide to learn a little bit more about Australia's most famous racetrack. Welcome to Mount Panorama Circuit. Most drivers simply refer to this place as Bathurst, with it being located just to the southwest of the city's major hub. But most ominously, and perhaps appropriately, it's been nicknamed the Mountain. With more than 500 feet of elevation change over the course of a lap, it's easy to understand why. Though originally built for racing, it's become a street circuit over time, with the track itself used for regular traffic and featuring residential housing all along the roads. This makes this 4-mile, 23-turn course incredibly unique in the world of racing. In the past, the track has hosted a variety of types of cars, including open-wheelers. But modern safety standards means that most competitive racing has now been limited to sports cars and touring cars. However, the dangers are very real due to the incredibly high speeds and lack of runoff throughout much of the circuit. The quickest parts are the run up the mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend, and then the flat-out blast back down the Conrod Straight and into the chase. This chicane was added in the late 80s to break up the run down to Murray's Corner. But while most chicanes are derided for ruining the character of a track, the terrifying speed as you approach it and the general difficulty make it fit right in with Bathurst challenges. However, the toughest portions are undoubtedly along the mountain itself, with notorious corners like the Cutting, Brock's Skyline, the Dipper, and Forest's Elbow. In fact, one of the more unique worries of this course is that all of these parts are so narrow that track blockages due to wrecks are not uncommon in the first few laps. The Australian fans often line the fences and hillsides to witness the daredevil spectacle of drivers trying to claim King of the Mountain. You can't blame them with how rare of a sight a track like Bathurst is today. There's a lot of track to go over here. It's quite a length, especially in these lesser cars. But Jack, why don't you tell us a few of the details about this place and what they're up against?
Well, Mount Panorama, it's renowned across the world for producing some very, very close racing from GT3 cars to obviously the world famous Aussie V8s. We are here obviously at the Bathurst circuit, Mount Panorama circuit in New South Wales, Australia. We are on the full layout. I'm not aware that there is another layout available to us here on the iRacing service. 23 turns across the full track length, with the track being 4 miles long or 6.23 kilometers, depending on where you're located. The places we need to look out for: Griffin's Bend, Chase, Murray's, Forest Elbow, all places on this circuit where I'm expecting to see lots and lots and lots of overtaking and action throughout the race.
Yeah, those long straights certainly open things up to some drafting and chances to try and sneak by. Now, let's take a look at exactly what today's race is going to be like, because this is going to change every round. As I said, all different types of tracks. So today, obviously, it's always going to be with the Volkswagen Jetta TDI that they will be racing on every circuit that they go to. It is a 30-minute race today, just a straight 30-minute race, and there's one faster pair available to the drivers, which, considering the nature of this track, I expect a few will need to use that. It's going to be an 8-race series, and so they're going to repeat a few of the disciplines, but they will be cycling through each of them. Right now, qualifying is underway. They get 4 laps, if they can make those 4 laps, because it's only 10 minutes. Well, it takes 2.5 minutes just to get around a single lap. And right now, those are getting on the board. So John Ferrani seems to have the quickest one currently. Let's see if any of these 3 that are coming through are able to go faster. Tomas Kenyeri comes across, and it looks like he's going to go to 3rd. Apsey, up to 5th. And Visky is going to be into fourth. So nobody still yet to dispose of the number 29 up at the top.
Yeah, you say that, but Smoggy, the number 1 machine, currently in a provisional P2 at the moment, a full second off the pace, and I think that just shows what a difference a bit of draft can make. And 1 full second in these cars, which haven't got massive amounts of power, only very lots. It's mainly torque in these diesel VW Jetta TDI Cup cars. A 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine producing 28,000. Oh, no, sorry, not 28,000. 2,800 foot-pounds of torque. So quite a nice torque amount, but you've got to carry 1.5 tons around this undulating Mount Panorama circuit. So qualifying, it's really going to be all to play for, because going into the race, if you've got that track position, it's going to make all the difference as we now see more drivers post some of their flying laps.
Looks like Fletcher just starting his first timed lap, as that one did not set a time for him. What about Christian Berg? Well, he's going to be off track, actually, as he overshoots the chase. So that one will definitely not count for him. You have to keep it on the black stuff. Otherwise, iRacing will automatically discount the lap and it won't go towards your qualifying. Instead, we switch over to Gaiman in the 61, yet to set a time, as it looks like that is Berg going to pull off. So not sure if he'll be able to even take part in this qualifying, since he'll have to start a new lap. This tricky right off the bat. This track here.
But so great to watch.
Yeah, not many front wheel drive cars here on the surface, that is for sure. So it takes some adaptation on top of the unique situation that they put all these drivers in at so many of these tracks. Just a minute and a half left now. A number of them did improve. Zabelski was up to third temporarily, but he gets bumped back down to P4, so the outside of row 2. I believe we'll see Fletcher get a time in as long as he keeps it clean, as the number 7 is going to be the next to the line as we're watching Gaiman take it down out of Forrest's elbow, really hustling the car as it plunges down many, many feet in elevation. Fletcher is just coming to the line now in the number 7 car. Let's see if he can get one on the board. Otherwise, it's going to be a long climb up the order. He needs to try and get a good finish. He does get one, and that is going to put him in the middle of the pack in 7th.
Yeah, so not a bad lap time for Ash Fletcher there. We know he's got more time available to him, but up towards the top of the mountain, I'm just loving looking at some of these liveries. You can see the one we're looking at the moment, Joshua Gaiman, very, very bright and colourful, very much like an art car that you'd see in a museum. As he's on his way now into Murray's corner, the final corner, chucks it in all the curb, 2 wheels bouncing it through. Hopefully that won't have given him a 0x for car contact on the underside of his car, crosses the line. Now, where does that put him? That puts him in provisional P7 with a 2 minutes 34.675. And I'm not quite sure why I searched this up, but the lap record here is a 2 minute 1.567, set by Shane van Gisbergen in a McLaren 650S GT3. I don't think the Jettas are going to get quite that close today.
Yeah, it might just be a little bit off that pace. We've actually had SVG here on the channel a couple times recently with the BMW race driver E-Series. Zabelski, with his 3rd lap, does go quicker, 2:33.7, but he'll stay in 4th. Checkered flag is out. Everybody is now wrapping up, and looks like Apsey is off track. So that one will not count for him. However, we have 2 Apsies. Kyle was off track, and Andrew, who was with him, was getting a tow all the way down the Conrad Straight. So Let's see if that helped him enough to go quicker than his 240.6. Down to the line. He's last of the drivers who put a time in. No, he must have had an off track, as that one was not counted.
Yeah, so not what you want to look for. I did notice going through Murray's corner, he was much smoother, kept off the curbs, and I think that is definitely going to be the way to go as we're now looking at Gabor Georgi towards the line. Does he improve his time? He does, but doesn't improve his position. So a 2 minutes 35.845 for Gabor Georgi is his best time, and he doesn't actually improve his time. His last lap was a 2 minute 35.913. So the time's slowly coming down, but seeing consistency in qualifying isn't necessarily what you want to see, but consistency in the race, with it being a half an hour race, could be something that that the drivers need in hand.
Especially around here where you have to be so inch perfect. Up next is Fletcher, who we saw set a lap last time through. Good enough for 7th. It's since been shuffled to 8th. This one not quicker, so he'll have to settle for 8th at the best. Cortez doesn't set a time. He seems to have had an error somewhere along that lap. Then we've got Josh Gaiman with that brightly colored VW, definitely hustling the car. Look at it squirm around the chase. And as that 61 comes to the line, I believe he's going to be the last to be able to set a time and see if he can improve. Can he get higher than that 4th row? Currently sitting on the inside there, 234.6, stays put. That one was a 235.1. So with that brings us to our starting order for the day. Let's go through our grid with Mark Samogyi. Put out on the pole, and nobody was able to take it away from him. He was quicker mildly by John Ferrani, who starts second, was previously on that top spot before he was displaced. Sagodi will be starting P3, and Zabelski in the 4th position. Tomas Kenyeri in P5 will be followed by Gabor Visky in the 6th position. Josh Gaiman starts 7th today, with Ash Fletcher to his outside in 8th. Gabor Georgi in 9th, and Kyle Apsey starts P10.
And Lucas Jocelyn, starts in P11. Gavin Boyett starts in P12. Aaron Cortez starts in 13th position, has Andrew Apsey for company. We are going green. Christian Berg starts in 15th, and Bence Jurek starts in 16th. There we go, a puff of tyre smoke from everybody, and you can hear the crowd clapping away in the background. Everybody tearing towards Hell Corner. What's going to happen? That's a lot of cars trying to squeeze through what is quite a tight and twisty corner. They managed to work their way through. No contact at first glance. A couple of cars running wide, but that's quite a clean start.
Very good through Hell Corner from everybody, but now the drafting games begin. You can see already our 2 leaders, John Ferrani, looking what's the inside of Griffin's Bend. Samogyi does not defend. He lets him through. Is he going to fight back? No, it looks like he's going to slip into 2nd place behind them. More drivers trying to get back to single file. Looks like Zabelski is able to get ahead of Gaiman and Visky. So those few are going to finally get themselves sorted as now we enter the mountain proper, up through the cutting. Drivers, some still taking pokes to the inside here and there. In fact, the back of the field is quite backed up with Jocelyn, Apsey, Berg, Jurek, and Andrew Apsey as well, finally managing to get themselves into order.
Yeah, so everybody sorting out their position, deciding where they want to be going into what is going to be a one-way affair at the mountain section of the circuit. You've got to be very, very brave to pick up a position through the top end of this Mount Panorama circuit. Still with Siafani in the lead. The number 1 machine demoted down into P2. You can see everybody weaving their way through, leaving tyre marks through the compression. I think that was a car in the wall a little further back. I did hear a bit of a crunch, so whether somebody has come to strife in the background, I don't know, but look at that, just car after car after car after car, all nose to tail in the draft on the run up to the chase, and it's a very, very long straight in most cars, but in a Jetta, which doesn't exactly go massively quickly, you're gonna be sat there for quite a while.
Andrew Apsey and Lucas Jocelyn both clattered the wall, but it looks like they're able to keep going. Yeah, it's about 133 miles per hour, 134 for John Ferrani up at the front. That's about as fast as they can get plunging down the hill. Let's see if anybody misses out on this first time through the chase. Big moment for Visky, who nearly loses it in the back, but he powers through, keeping his foot in the gas.
There you can see the cars braking away while on the brakes, funnily enough. That was our leader. Sideways going into Murray's corner, battling for the overall lead at the moment, looking to the inside, going up towards Hell Corner, around the outside. You've got to be very brave to defend it around there. Sideways, a bit of contact possibly between the pair of them, but that's still Gustavo in the lead in the number 29 machine. But the number one of Morgi, there we go, I'll try and get it out, is still just behind, 3/10 separating them, only going to get closer. There's got the draft assistance. We've got to be careful of Daniel Sagodi behind, because he will be picking up the draft assistance as well on the inside. That's very, very brave. I think seeing this sort of aggression this early on in the race is just going to set the tone.
Yeah, and that's twice in two corners that Samogi made an attempt and it didn't come off, and it's going to bite him this time because here comes Kenyeri. He looks to the inside, but he seems to be more patient than Mark as he backs out of it, holds into third. But all of this fighting has now allowed a bit of a train to start to form. They've pulled up to the slipstream. At least they did up the mountain straight. It's Kenyeri, Sagodi, Zabelski, and Gaiman who are with them. But now it seems that they've lost a little bit of touch with first and second place. You can see the gap up ahead of them.
Yeah, so Siafani and Samogi slowly disappearing into the distance, getting that bit of fresh air. This is now a four-car battle for the final spot on the podium, led by Daniel Sagodi, then Tomas Kenyeri behind, Brian Zabalensky and Joshua Gaiman all nose to tail through the one-way section of the circuit, and I think even Gabor Visky is trying to get in on the mix as well as we go round the Forest Elbow once again onto the Conrod Straight. I wonder whether anybody will be able to make the most of the draft effects. We've still got a couple of cars peeking out, just looking to see whether they can make the position, but I don't think the draft is playing as big a part as I initially thought.
Same here. Zabelski did get a fantastic run. He's in the orange and white that you can see in the background. There it is, just getting alongside Sagodi. Let's see if he can manage to finish it off. He's going to have the inside into the chase. He's a little shallow into the corner. He breaks early. Too timid from the number double aught. And all the way maybe too aggressive there from Zagodi. Daniel all the way off course.
Yeah, not what he was looking for at all, but look at this, too wide into the final corner, almost a slight overlap, but Zabalensky manages to fend off the position, but look in the background, still side by side once again. I think that's Joshua Gaiman managing to fend off the attentions of Gabor Visky. So nose to tail from P5 down to P7. Looking at Visky now, you can see he's getting closer and closer and closer, but Gaiman does have that draft assistance from Zabelski in front, literally tucked underneath the rear wing is Brian Zabelski in the 00 machine going up towards Quarry Bend. What can they do? They're diving into the very quick right hand around the outside. You've got to be very brave to get it through there, and I'm not sure whether he's going to make that stick. These Jettas are running slick tyres, and I think they're showing off the amount of grip that you've actually got, because almost 3 wide, now going up towards the cutter.
He's going to have the inside into the cutting. Will Gaiman, as Zabelski has to play defense. Somehow they both managed to get through here. I tell you what, these front-wheel drive cars actually seem to be perfectly suited for Bathurst, as it is allowing some unique defenses and attacks that we've seen thus far, and we still have 23 minutes left to go. So Zabelski will remain in 5th. Worth noting that up front, Samogi has caught back up to Gustavo in that first position. Kenyeri is almost up to them, but they have definitely dropped 4th place. Sagodi back there.
So back up to the front, you can see Siafani has still got Samogi just behind him. This is the battle for the overall lead now, going over the brow of the hill. A little dab of the brakes to get the nose turned in, rotating the rear in as well through the Forest Elbow, back onto the Conrod Straight, and the Jetta using all of the torque that it can get to power its way out of the corner, helped by the downhill as well at the start of the Conrod Straight, then back over a slight berm in the midway point of the straight, and then back downhill again to the very quick left-hander of the chase. Got to make sure you nail your braking point there. If you outbrake yourself, you end up in the gravel and off the road. But I don't think a move is going to be on for the lead just as yet. But like you say, still lots of time left in the race. 22 minutes still to go. So the drivers have got all this time to pick up a position, but still Ciafani leading the way.
And it's a hard battle between Gaiman, Visky, and Zabelski. Zabelski was trying to defend, and it didn't work. So Gaiman got through, and now because of his poor exit, Visky gets through. Look at how hard Josh is pushing in that number 61, that brightly multicolored VW, nearly going off course in Murray's Bend. Now they come back to hell to the first corner, and it's up mountain straight, completely reverse of what we just had with Conrad. He seems to be scampering away, while Visky might have to give this spot back because Zabelski's got the run and the tow.
Yeah, Visky really closing up to the tail end, almost alongside. I think there might just be a slight overlap now as they whiz by the camera, but the 00 of Visky, the 00 of Zabelski was looking to the outside there of Visky, but nothing came of that. And all this battling is just allowing Joshua Gaiman to slowly disappear into the distance, so they're only slowing each other down.
A bit of a battle behind them. Kyle Apsey side by side with Ash Fletcher. This is for 11th position. Fletcher's going to have the outside. You can see as another car getting involved behind them. Christian Berg going to get his nose in, and I think he's going to be able to sneak a spot. Same thing behind him. Here comes Bench Jurak, and Jurak gets one as well. 2 spots down for poor Ash Fletcher.
Yeah, so Ash Fletcher started this lap in 11th position, lost out to Kyle Epsey, who is now far and away out in front of that trio. Then there's Christian Berg, and then there's Bence Jurak, and just behind Bence is who is that just behind Bence? I can't quite figure out who that is. I think that could be Gavin Boyett. No, there is. Oh, that is Ash Fletcher right at the tail end of that pack. I just got slightly confused because Ash started in 11th, or started this lap in 11th, and Kyle Epsey started just behind him, but he is now almost 5 seconds up the road.
It's incredible what momentum seems to do for these cars. As we come back to our leaders, Samogi's got a good run this time. Is he going to try something? He's going to go side by side as Gustavo holds the inside of the chase. A little bit of a nose ahead, but he gets tipped, and Samogi has to catch the car. Can he keep it together? Off course into the grass, back onto it, and somehow he keeps both the lead and control.
I'm not sure how Samogi did that, but going now into Murray's, the hard work definitely isn't over. Hard on the brakes, you can see the car squirming under the pressure, but it looks like Ciafani might have got the cutback on the run-up towards Hell Corner. Samogi in the lead as they cross the line. What can Ciafani do on the run-up to Hell Corner? Later on the brakes, I think he's got the position. There's still an overlap, though, and this position might have just been set to look at Samogi there, looking to the left and the right, trying to find a way around. But Samogi has got to remember he has his teammate of Kenyeri behind for assistance. You can see he's pulled into the draft behind, maybe giving him a little bit of a push as well. And this battle is far from over.
Someone needs to remind these guys that it's not rallycross on this round. Oh, and unfortunately, they're going to come together. And behind them, that is Kenyeri, who could have taken advantage if he was a little bit farther back, but he got boxed in. All 3 of them keep going without touching the wall, and it slows them up enough that they're being joined by 3 more. Gaiman, Visky, as well as Segodi are now in the fray.
Yeah, so now this is a massive battle for the lead. I'm trying to figure out who this is. That's 7 cars, all for the lead. Ciafani got away with that fairly unscathed. The big hit, and his car is looking rather second-hand on the left-hand side. But he is still out in front, and somehow Samogi is still in second place and still being followed by Kenyeri. It's just like all 3 cars lost an equal amount of time. And yeah, like you say, they are now being caught up by the 4-way battle behind.
Oof, this is about to get very interesting. Having 3 cars fight has been chaotic enough, but 7 of them with an opportunity to maybe try and sneak into the lead will be something else entirely. We are now a third of the way through this race as they come back down the hill, all of them pushing as close to the wall as they dare on that front wheel drive. and they start to pick up speed once again. A great exit from Cian Ferrani in the number 29. In fact, it looks like he might be well clear of Samogi even by the time they get to the chase.
Yeah, so Cian Ferrani doing a brilliant job, just about managing to recover all of these moments and back in the lead and back building that gap up. But we know, we've seen it before, that Samogi can come back, whether we see him or not. He slowly catches up lap by lap, 10th by 10th, and then he is there or thereabouts to pick up a position. He still has his teammate behind him for assistance, and once again you can see this lead trio just about building that gap from the 4-car battle behind, led by Daniel Sagodi, who's in the wall sideways contact, and you can see that car is looking rather second hand. It looks like it's still tracking straight, but he's gone from the front end of that pack to the tail end. Tell us what you see, Joe, in the replay.
Yeah, I think he just overshot that last corner. He was getting very eager. Well, he wasn't even close to the apex. Smacks it pretty well broadside. He may have gotten away with that. It depends on how much this affects his top end, I imagine. He's still on the back of the group. He has stayed with Zabelski. But that group is splitting apart. Kenyeri, who was ahead of him, has a gap back to Josh Gaiman. So the 61 is going to have to hustle to keep hold of that front group as side by side into Griffin's Bend. Zabelski is going to be overtaken. Sagodi already making quick work to get to the front of this 4-car pack that he was up there before.
Yeah, so after one mistake, you can see it can cost you greatly in these Jettas. They don't have massive power figures, but it's all about momentum, like you mentioned earlier. We'll go back to the front now, because this battle for the lead is only getting closer as we now head to the run-up towards Skyline. The number 29 still leading the way from the number 1. This 3-car battle seems to just be sitting about where it is. Whether it once again changes on the Conrad Straight, I don't know. Wow, look at that. Samogi looking to make the move. You can see the car's dancing on the track limit. He's trying to get every ounce of performance out of that. Is Mark Samogi on the edge of Adhesion, almost 3 wheels through there, lifting the front right off the ground in towards the Forest Elbow. Let's see what happens on the Conrad Straight.
Once again, everybody pushing hard. Look at them just swing out of the corner down the Conrad Straight. This makes me wonder, too, with as hard as they're fighting, Jack, and the front wheels doing twice the work, can they wear out in a short 30-minute race? Can you hurt them enough that you won't have much left towards the end, or is this just you don't have to carry it all and give it full beans, if you will?
I think tyres can be a limiting factor, but with this only being a half-an-hour race, I don't think it's going to make, and I don't think that's going to help their case either. Gustavo Ciafani losing yet more positions. That's quite naughty, elbowing. Oh, that's right. Okay, that's both cars all off the road. A big hit in the wall for Ciafani. Sumogi went to the inside, got collected by Ciafani, and then Kenyeri got elbowed out wide by Ciafani, and he said, right, have a bit of that, and wasn't going to take it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was just no race left eventually. Kenyeri's able to keep going. Gustavo as well, but he looks like he's going to have to take his spare car as he's ducked it into the pits. So this has changed the complexion completely. Samogi still our leader. What about Gaiman, though? Up to second place because of everybody ahead of him all tussling with one another. Kenyeri is now promoted to third place, but that might not be for long because of both damage he's got and Visky right behind him. Here he goes, poking his nose out into Griffin's Bend. Is this going to be enough to take the spot away? No, he backs out of it.
Not that time by, couldn't find the move, but like you say, Joshua Gaiman up into P2, but not just up into P2, very close to P1 as well. He's almost there or thereabouts, ready to make a move for the lead. But back to your original question, I don't think tyres will play an effect on this race. I know you can pretty much do 24 hours on a full tank of fuel because they are turbo diesel, so they are so terribly efficient. But I don't think tyres will be an accrediting factor during this race. But Joshua Gaiman, he's done exactly what he needs to do, kept it clean and kept it out of everybody's way, driven as quickly as he can, and there you go, it's rewarding him. He's gone from P4 to P2 in the blink of an eye, and this is almost P1 now for him.
Could change so quickly. We just saw that as soon as something kicks off, it's almost a chain reaction with everybody behind them. And it is funny to see how long these things can go on a tank of fuel. I remember a couple years ago we did a endurance race of 2.5 hours with these cars involved, with a tank limited to 1%, and they could still go. I think it was something like 30 minutes on a 1% or 10%, excuse me, tank of fuel. So just incredible mileage. This is essentially an all-out sprint up at the front. Samogi being reeled in by Gaiman. So another one that the number one car is going to have to fend off as he goes defensive down into the chase.
Yeah, you saw Gaiman using all the track there, the number 61 machine, using that extra bit of concrete that's on the entry of the chase. But look at this, he's got the better run of the two. It looks like Samogi went a little bit too hot into the chase, couldn't get the car straightened out on the exit. Going into Murray, you see Joshua Gaiman diving up the inside, a slight overlap between the pair of them, just a bit of rubbing. I don't think there was much sinister between those two, but Josh Gaiman now into the lead. So the number 61 leading the way now from Mark Samogi.
And how about that climb from the 61? Qualified 7th, now up to 1st. And he's still got 11 minutes left to go. He's clearly got the consistency you were talking about earlier, Jack. Now, does he have the speed to try and outrun Mark and get him out of his slipstream? They've left Visky behind by about 4 seconds, so it seems to have become a two-horse race.
Yeah, normally you see battles like this just rage on, just slow each other down until all the cars behind end up catching up, but it's almost like they've made each other quicker. They're that desperate to get past each other. They're driving quicker than they ever have done. But like you say, Josh Gaiman doing a brilliant job from 7th to 1st at the moment. I heard a bit of contact in the background there. Whether that was more incidents, I don't know. We'll have to have a look back in a few moments' time. I think it was Visky in P3. Was he involved? He's got his teammate for company still of Kenyeri. Behind is Zabalinski and then Sagodi. It looks like everybody's still running. I'm not sure what I heard, but maybe just a slight rub on the wall. But Sabagodi, I'm not sure, or Sagodi, I'm not sure how he's keeping that car on the road. Looking very second-hand. You can see it in the background with all that damage on that white machine. As we look back from Visky, you can see him. He will know his teammate is in the rearview mirror, sliding his way through the dipper up towards the forest elbow. And look at the gap they've got. Look at the gap the leaders have got now. They're just slowly disappearing into the distance. I think they might have given up battling each other and they're just working together.
Yeah, it's gone from the 3.8 seconds at the start of the lap up to 4.3. Clearly quicker than this trio as we watch the pair of them. Samogie's got to run. Does he dare make another move? Is he going to manage to keep it clean this time, as it has been quite rough in these machines? They both break, both on the limit, and I'm not sure if Josh is going to be able to hold on to it. Somehow he does, with the car squirming. He manages to hold it together and once again keep it up in the top spot. Samogi still behind him, trying to find a way by, and he'll have to do better than that.
Definitely will, but it's just great to see these cars on the edge of adhesion, squirming under the brakes. You put your foot to the floor. These cars do have ABS, so you can brake as hard as you want, just at the risk that the rear might overtake the front. But still, Samogi with all the work to do, trying to get past Josh Gaiman. But I think for the moment, we're going to have to settle with Josh Gaiman in the lead, because Samogi is throwing everything at it, but to no fruition. He can't quite get the move completed.
Couple more chances. A reminder, it's 2.5 minutes just to make a lap around here. And with 8.5 minutes left to go, we're down to about 4 laps or so, maybe less than that, as they come around Griffin's Bend. It is about 4.5 seconds back to Visky from these two. In fact, that battle is getting very hot. Contact with Zabelski, who gets shoved into the wall along the concrete canyon that is the mountain section. He looks pretty damaged as he falls backwards.
He does indeed. Let's have a look at the replay on the run up through Quarry Bend. You can see he's trying to make the most of the two slower cars in front of him, and he just gets elbowed and bounces off the tail end of Sagodi, firing him into the wall, and yet more damage aboard his Jetta, and he might lose out here to Georgi as well. He does indeed. so yet more positions lost for Zabelski.
He's getting on the radio saying he's trying to drive it around just to get his free repair. It seems like he is well compromised. Watching our leaders, though, certainly don't look like they're compromised. The way they're swinging it through the S's down into Forest Elbow. Who's going to get the better run? Somogi within the slipstream, staying within half a second here and off of Forest Elbow. Last time they went side by side, nearly losing the car, each of them, but still coming out the other side clean. What's it going to be this time as they pick up speed? 126 miles an hour for Somogi. Looking out to the left side off of the Conrad straight, now into the chase. He'll manage to get a nose in. The slight bit of overlap onto the brakes they go. Both of them going as deep as they dare, and this time they come together. But it looks like Josh is going to be a hold on to it, a little bit of a shove back as he gives Somogi a little bit of his own medicine. He'll stay in the lead, and Mark trails by less than half a second.
So once again, we're seeing both these drivers get their elbows out. I know these cars are front-wheel drive and rather long wheelbases, much like the general TCR cars, and they are renowned for the amount of contact that they have between them. But the 61 and the 1 not afraid to get their elbows out. I'm surprised that both the cars have still got their wing mirrors. But Josh Gaiman still in the lead, across the line 6/10 ahead of Somogi. In the background, you can still see Visky and Kenyeri nose to tail. Got a car coming in the pit lane, you can hear the buzzer going off in the background, but Josh Gaiman still leading the way.
Belsky, who's coming on in. And what's crazy is despite such hard racing between the top two, Visky still lost time to them. That is how hard they are driving around these laps. And look at Somogi continue to push and pressurize the number 61. He's going to take a peek up on the mountain section, manages to get to the inside into the cutting, but he can't carry the speed off the corner. Up the hill they go. You were talking about the torque earlier, Jack. Is that enough that it helps them get up the hill, or are these cars so low powered that you need that momentum?
I think momentum will play a massive, massive part. I've got like I say, I've got a lot of experience in these Jettas after racing in a league with them, and it's a very niche car. You've got to make sure you carry the momentum through the corner without scrubbing your tyres, because if you go sideways, you lose all that momentum, which means you lose all that speed. And yes, the torque does help you up the hill, but then if you're going into the downhill section like we see now, if you're carrying that extra momentum, it's going to massively help you. You're going to see the gap slowly start to extend. But look at that, just going off that, I'm going to say that Somogi had the extra momentum because he's got much, much closer. Now going into the Forest Elbow once again, takes the wider line in, tries to get the late apex, chasing after Gaiman. And I think once again, he got the better run. We ride on board with him now, and we can see the gap very, very marginally closing down. And this is where we've seen the overtake attempted and attempted and attempted, but it never came off. And look at how much he's gaining now. He's going to jump out of the slipstream to the left-hand side. Going to go the long way around through the first right-hander, but that will give him the inside for the chase, which will very quickly turn to the outside on the run-up to Murray's. Let's see what these two can do. They came to strife last time through a bit of contact, giving each other more than ample room. Josh Gaiman on the outside, almost clipping the grass, both of them giving each other lots of room this time by. And somehow, Josh Gaiman is still in the lead.
Thought that we would see far more lead changes than this. It's amazing the job that 61 is doing up at the front. As they come around, should be 2 laps to go this time by with 4 minutes left. So very few opportunities for the number 1 to try and get it done. And fair play to both of them. Backing off a little bit to make sure that this doesn't come to tears between them. Because they could still, I have to imagine that gap is not big enough. If they spin out and go off course, they could see Visky stream by into a surprise win.
Yeah, 100%. Visky and Kenyeri still nose to tail in the background. A very similar battle going on just for the final spot on the podium. And a mistake now would be fatal for these drivers. 3.5 minutes left of the race to go. And you wouldn't have enough time to pick up the time lost if you made a mistake. So these two have got to make sure that they keep it clean desperately, because any lost time now will not be able to get gamed back. Still Visky and Kenyeri behind, and looking a little bit further back, we've still got Kristen Berg with the attentions of Ash Fletcher. as well as Kyle Apsey. Look at that, a 3-car battle in the background, almost a 4-car battle, because Sabelski is recovering with a now better looking car. He's obviously been into the pit lane to get one of his iRacing fast repairs, but look at this now, Apsey looking to the inside of Ash Fletcher, number 87 on number 7. He has a look in the chrome liveried machine. He's almost got the move done. He's on the inside. He doesn't have the momentum out of the corner. It will turn to the outside on the run up to the cutting. Can Ash Fletcher fend him off for the moment? It does look like that will be the case, but it really just shows that this race is far from over with so little time left.
And they're fighting top to bottom as well, just as fierce down here for 11th and 10th place as it is for these two up for P1 for all the glory. The clock now less than a lap's worth, so white flag will wave when they come by. Samogi has really perfected the run, it seems, Jack, to get up to him, but how does he perfect the execution of the pass? That's the question mark above his head right now.
Unless he finds some extra braking potential in that Jetta, I don't think he will get the move done before the end of the race. Look at that, Josh Gayman sideways, Samogi closing up on the brakes, but this is the first time we've seen in 3 laps Samogi has not got alongside of Gayman, so Josh has really got the bit between his teeth there, putting his foot to the floor and building that gap while he needs to. We're going up towards the line this time by. It will be the last lap as we cross the line. So Josh Gayman goes on to the final lap of the race in the lead, but 2 minutes and 30 seconds from now, we will find out who is going to cross the line victorious.
Through Hell Corner one last time and onto the mountain straight. It is half a second the gap. Samogi looking close, though. This is a long ways, even though it's not quite as long as the Conrad. So coming up the hill and over the crest, down to 0.3 of a second, closing, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough as now they hit Griffin's Bend. He's going to have to get creative or otherwise be extremely aggressive down the Conrad into the chase. They've got 6 seconds over Visky. They've continued to pull away to all of those behind them. These are your 2 fastest drivers on the paved roadside in the VW Jetta. Once again, very quick through the twisty bits here from Samogi. Gets right underneath him, using every inch of track. There is less than a paper's width between themselves and the wall.
Now with only a couple of corners to go of the mountain section before the long Conrad straight, arguably the last chance for Samogi to even sniff at a win here at round 1 of the Jetta Masters series. Still Josh Gayman leading the way. Like I said earlier, very much a one-way system at the top of the mountains. And like you said, on the lap prior, Samogi has nailed the exit coming out of Forest Elbow onto the Conrad straight. Josh Gayman chucks it in, tries to carry the momentum through. It looks like he got the better run of the 2, but Samogi will have that draft assistance, but the gap is rather large going onto the Conrad straight. I wonder whether he can make it work this time by. If he can't get it done going into the chase, the last chance for him will be going into Murray's, but honestly I don't think he's going to make it work.
It doesn't look like it. This is the farthest back he's been in quite a while. So does Gayman have free reign all the way to the checkered flag if he keeps it clean? He takes a lot of curb on his way in. Late braking there from Samogi. Maybe he's going to try something in Murray's. Maybe he's setting himself for an exit off the chase. It looks like exactly what he's done. Tries to go for a late defense, but Gayman finds that the door is open and he can't shut it now. The leg is in from Mark Samogi. He tries to outbrake him into the corner, but he goes too deep. The over-under sends it right back in favor of Josh Gayman, and he's going to win by less than a car length over Mark Samogi. Behind him, third goes to Gabor Visky with a well-earned podium just ahead of Ken Yardy, but what a finish between our leaders.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. A quarter of a second separating the leaders, and that's got to be the fastest half an hour of my life. But look at this now, P8 overall. The drivers, big contact going into Murray's. That was our original leaders. Who was that? That was Schianfarini, who ended up getting collected into the wall by Boyer, not willing to take that lying down. Jorak crosses the line now to finish P10. Berg finishes P11, and Zabelski finishes in 12th. We've got the rest of the cars slowly weaving their way through the final corners. But what a race! That was incredibly busy. But I've got to say, some pretty good quality racing at the front end of the field.
Lots of action. Who says slow cars can't put on a lot of excitement? Let's take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with our post race interviews as well as the unofficial results. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Mount Panorama Circuit. We just watched the first round of the Jetta Masters series, and Jetta Masters seems like it's going to be an appropriate name because that was some fantastic racing in these cars from these guys. Josh Gaiman wound up taking the victory by 2.5 tenths of a second over Simogi, with the lead swapping in the very final corner twice. Simogi going for a late dive that just didn't work. Visky was behind them, losing out at the end, just not fast enough to keep up, but still good enough for a podium in a third. Kenyeri was in fourth with Segodi in P5. Gabor Georgi finished in sixth, followed by Cortez, making a nice climb, going from 13th to 7th. Reverse for poor Gustavo Tianfurani, who went from the front row down to 8th in the end, with Gavin Boyett finishing in 9th and Vince Jurek rounding out your top 10.
Kristen Berg went from 15th to 11th in that race, so only forward, so great stuff from the driver of the number 48 machine. 0-0, however, of Brian Zabelski getting into the wars from P4 down to P12. Not what he was looking for, but he did cross the line nonetheless. And Ash Fletcher, hopeful for this evening, but sadly nothing came of it, finishing 13th overall. Kyle Epsey finishing in 14th. Andrew Epsey finishing in 15th. And I think Lucas Jocelyn might have retired a lap down, but he eventually crossed the line in 16th position.
And we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Mark Simogi. Mark, do you need a shower after that? Because, excuse me, we have second place finisher with us. Do you need a shower? Because that looked like some incredibly tense racing between yourself and Josh.
Yeah, it was very, very intense. Yes, I think I need a shower. It was and because my engine was very warm, so I think it was a little bit overheated. My brakes as well, I think. Yes, it was very, very intense. I don't know what. I tried to be fair with Gianfriani, but I don't know what happened there. So I didn't saw him. If I was if it was my fault, I'm sorry about this. I think I left him enough space. I don't know how is it looks like from the outside. So if it was my fault, I'm sorry. I wanted to let him to pass me, but after that I saw he spinning. I couldn't let him. So yeah. It was a good race, I think. So I think I will need to make one more place to up, and I hope in the next race I could do it.
You as well. Now, talk about that battle at the end with Josh. It seemed as though you had enough to try and get beside him, but actually finishing the pass seemed to be the more difficult part. I mean, what was going through your head? Did you have any sort of plan to try and get by, or was this something where you're kind of confused as to how to fully get back up into the lead?
I think my car is a little bit damaged because the draft wasn't that good. I tried it, so I just wanted to overtake him. I didn't have a plan where, so I know only I didn't want to try it on the middle side of the track because there is very big risk there because the road is very tight and if I make a mistake, I don't want to push him out. So I try to go and use the draft on the two big straight, but it wasn't enough. So he was driving very good. He was safe his place very good. So yeah, he was better now than me.
Mentioned you need to move one position up, but it's going to be a very different discipline next round, heading off to a dirt oval at Lanier. What are your thoughts heading there in the Jetta? Have you had a chance to try that sort of racing in this car yet?
Um, in the last season with the RX, I enjoyed very much the dirt. So I hope so. I could make a better place. So I want to finish on the first there. So I hope I could manage that.
I hope so as well. Again, congratulations on at least starting off with a podium, a nice points haul today. Anybody you want to thank before you head out?
Yeah, sure. I want to thank to my team, to the George Racing team. We were practicing a lot, and on the 2 weeks ago, no, in the last week, we had a rallycross in real life, and I have won, and it was about the team because they give me a very good car and a very good mechanics and everything. So I want to say thank you for them and for Gabor György as well because he's the team manager and he is doing everything to make this team together and like here and in the real life as well. So I want to say thank you for him and a lot of thank you.
No worries. Got to get those thank yous in. As that was our second place finisher, Mark Samogi. And looks like going to be our only interview for today as we haven't had anybody duck in. So, all right, real quick before we leave, Jack, we're heading to a dirt oval. Now, you said you've got lots of experience in this car. I mean, any ideas of what that's going to be like when we head over there to Georgia?
Sadly enough, yes. Because when the iRacing service is down for maintenance, you're left with wonderful, weird and wonderful combinations available to you. So you can literally drive anything, anywhere. And I've got to say, I have driven the Volkswagen Jetta around a dirt oval, and they're surprisingly good. Yes, they understeer a lot more than usual, but I've got to say, even on slick tyres, they are quite good because you can pitch the front in, throw the rear around, and it almost becomes a dirt oval car. You wouldn't be surprised if you saw it racing regularly on a dirt oval. But all that to look forward to when we head to the Lanier Speedway. But going off tonight, I think Lanier Speedway, there might be a bit more contact.
I have no doubt about that. So here's hoping that at least it stays green for most of the race. But again, thank you for tuning in, and a big thank you, of course, to the Valhalla Sim Sport guys for bringing us on for another season of coverage. Also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And also thanks to the team today, of course, Jack, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, where our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. We've got a merchandise store linked in the description below. That's gsrc.storenv.com, where you can get all kinds of cool swag with GSRC on it. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're down there. If you see a big red button that says subscribe, that means you haven't done it yet. Click it. You won't miss a moment here on GSRC. And as we mentioned, we're heading over to Lanier to the dirt oval version of it, Saturday, September 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But up next for us tonight here on GSRC, we've got the Bootleg Racing League's All-Star Race. It's the Shootout Series. The super late models go to Southern National. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.